Hello students, welcome back to HashLearn. We'll be continuing the class on arithmetic challenging questions. In the previous session, I did a lot of questions on speed, time and distance. We also had seen questions on partnership, ratios and proportion. In this class, I'll be focusing on percentages, averages, and I'll take up questions on, again, diverse topics, but mainly focusing on percentages, concepts of average. So let's start with the first question here. Question number one, if the base of a triangle is increased by 20%, and the height is decreased by 20%, then what will be the overall percentage change in the area of the triangle? So let's see here, two things are happening. We know the area of a triangle is given as half into base into height. Now you'll say that this is a question of geometry, but actually it's a question of percentages. Whenever two things are there, whenever we say A into B is equal to C, and if we change A and B by some percentage, then C will also change by a respective percentage, and we can find out the overall percentage change by using this direct formula of A plus B plus A into B by 100%. Very useful formula of percentages. We use this in the case of successive percentage change. When we change percentages successively, then we can use this formula. For example, if the population of a town changes by 10% in the first year and then again by 10% in the next year, how to find out the overall percentage change in the population of the town? Use this formula, A plus B plus A into B by 100%. So here what is happening is the base of a triangle is increasing by 20% and then the height is decreased by 20%. One value is increasing, the other value is decreasing. What will be the change in the overall change in the area of the triangle? So when we have increase, we take it as plus. When we have decrease, we take it as minus. And plus into minus is minus. So 20 into 20 by 100. And percentage, so 20 and 20 gets cancelled. Minus 4%. Or we can say there is a change of 4% in the area of the triangle. 4%, it will decrease by 4%. In fact, that will be the better answer, but simply we can say the percentage change will be 4%. So that's question number one for you, and a very useful formula, that is a percentage change formula. How do we solve a question where percentage changes happen successively? Next, look at question number two, and this is again a question on partnership, and I'll discuss one question of partnership in the previous session also. And let's see what is this variation. Okay, what variation is there in this particular question? A and B started a business with capital investments of 36,000 and 40,000 respectively. So there are two persons, A and B, and they start a business with a capital of 36,000 and 40,000 respectively. C joined in after some months. We don't know when C joined. Maybe after X number of months with a capital of 60,000. So A and B start the business. Initially, they start the business with capitals of 36,000 and 40,000 respectively. They are right from the beginning, but C joins after a certain number of months. Okay. The moment we add a new partner, or if one partner withdraws some money from his initial capital investment, it becomes a question of compound partnership. And in question of compound partnership, we multiply the amount invested with the time period for which the money has been invested to find out the final ratio in which the profit must be distributed among or between the partners. Now, at the end of the year, profit is distributed among them in the ratio 18, 20 and 5. So what is given in this question is the ratio in which the profit is distributed among the partners at the end of the period, and based on this we have to find out after how many months did C join the business. So let's say C joined the business after X months, or let's say that C came in or C invested for X months. That would be better instead of taking 12 minus X and making it complicated. Let's say that C joined after some number of months, and then the remaining number of months, let's call it X. Okay. Now we know that B has been in the business for the entire 12 months, and A has been in the business for the entire 12 months. So what we do here is that 36,000 into 12 and is to 40,000 into 12, and in this case it is 60,000 into X. So we divide by 1000 here. So what will happen? Divide by 1000, so we get here this will get cancelled. So we get here 12 into 36, 12 into 36, 40 into 12, and 60 into X. Divide this again by 12, so because we can divide by 12 here, so we get here 36, 40, and 5x. And we can say 36 by 5x is equal to 18 by 15, because we know the ratio of A and C is 18 by 15. So 5 will cancel 15 3 times, 3 will cancel 18 6 times, and 6 will cancel 36 6 times. X is equal to 6 months. That means that C had remained invested in the business for 6 months, and then 12 minus 6 is also equal to 6. So we can say that C joined after 6 months. Joined after 6 months. That's your final answer. That C had remained in the business for 6 months. We're talking about 1 year. In 1 year we have 12 months. So 12 minus 6 is also equal to 6. So C remained in the business for a duration of 6 months. This is how we solve the question. We take the ratio and we find out in terms of X, and then comparing the ratio value that is given to us and the ratio values we have got in the form of X, we can find out the value of X. Subtract X from 12 to find out after how many months the person had joined in the business. Let's move on to question number 3 now. It's a percentage question. In an election contested between two candidates, one candidate got 12% more votes than the other candidates. If the losing candidate got 1,76,000 votes, by how many votes did he lose the election? Okay. So there are two candidates, and one candidate has got 12% more votes than the other candidate. Let's call the two candidates A and B. Let's say that one candidate, the losing candidate, has got X% votes. He is the losing candidate, and B is the winning candidate. Okay, so the losing candidate has got X% votes, the winning candidate has got X plus 12% votes. X plus 12% votes. How many candidates are there in this election? There are only two candidates. So that means X plus 12 should be equal to 100, or 2x is equal to 88, or x is equal to 44. That means A has got 44% votes, B has got 56% votes, 44 plus 12, or that means A has lost by a margin of 12% votes. Look at this, A has got 44% votes, B has got 56% votes. The difference between them is 12%, as it's already given to us that one candidate has got 12% more than the other candidate. So A has lost the election by what percentage of votes? 12% votes. What is given to us is that the losing candidate has got 1,76,000 votes, and we have to find out based on this by how many votes did he lose the election. So let's say by how many votes did A lose the election, or it means the question boils down to a very simple thing. What is 12% of the total number of votes? Okay, but to solve this question, what we don't need to do is we don't need to find out what is the total number of votes. Directly we can find out the number of votes by which A has lost the election. How do we do that? Let's see. It's given to us that A has got 44% votes, and that 44% is equal to 1,76,000, and we also know that A has lost by 12%. So directly we'll do a comparison here and say, okay, if 44% is 1,76,000, then 12% will be equal to what? Okay, so if you divide here, 44 will divide 176 4 times, and if you cross multiply, X is equal to 48,000. That means A has lost the election by 48,000 votes. That is answer option B. A has lost election by 48,000 votes. Okay. Look at the way we have solved. We have not found out here the total votes, and without finding total number of votes directly, we have found out what is 12% of the total number of votes. So finding out the total number of votes here from the number of votes that A has got would be a waste of time. And if you do it properly, it will not take more than 30 seconds for you to solve the question, subject to the condition that you have understood the question properly. Okay, understanding is an important part in some of the questions, and this is one such question that you should think about, which is based on understanding, conceptual understanding. Now again, let's look at this question here. Very lengthy, lots of information is there. Sometimes in these lengthy worded questions, it's very important to read carefully. If you read carefully and maybe spend the 10 seconds time in reading the question and understanding what is given to you, maybe in another 20-25 seconds you can solve this question, and actually within 30 to 40 seconds you can get the answer. So look at the question here. An NGO raised 60% of the amount it required for a social campaign by collecting an average donation of rupees 800 per person from the people already approached. So an NGO wanted to collect some money, and it approached a certain number of people, and by collecting 800 rupees from them, average donation of 800 from them, the NGO was able to raise 60% of the fund required. Okay, so still 40% of the fund that is required is pending. Now the question is this: the people already approached represent 75% of the total number of people the NGO plans to approach. Okay, the people already approached represent 75% of the total number of people the NGO plans to approach. If it wants to raise exactly the amount needed for the campaign, what should be the average donation from the remaining people? Now, if you look at the way a question like this is solved in different books that are there available in the market, you'll see the very lengthy solution, maybe a one-page solution or at least a half-page solution. What you're going to do is solve it in the fastest possible time. You can't even imagine how fast it can be. So now what we'll do here is we'll take 75% and we see what is the fraction 75%. 75% is 3 by 4. So let's say people who are already approached, let's call them as A and say 3, and people yet to approach, let's call them as B. So that's 1. Okay, total number of people are 4. 75% of 4 is 3. So people approached is 3. People yet to approach is 1. Now there's no actual value given to us, so we don't need to worry about how many people have approached and how many people are yet to be approached. That's not really our concern. People who have been approached have given 800 rupees, and that means that total we have already got 2400 rupees. Okay, and this 2400 rupees is 60% of what we want to get. 60% of what the total amount has already been collected. So if 60% is 24,000, then 100% or 40% remaining will be how much? 40% will be equal to what? So 60 will cancel this 400 times, and if you cross multiply, it will be equal to 1600, or 60 into 4 to 40, 400, 2400, and extra 0 is not there. So 40 into 4, that's how much? 1600. This value required here is 1600. So 1 into how much is 1600? 1 into 1600 is 1600, and therefore the answer is 1600 itself. See, look at the amount of calculation I have done. Least amount of calculation. No need to form any equation. Just understand 75% is 3 by 4. So let the people who have been approached be 3 and people yet to be approached 1. And we already know that the average donation for those who have already been approached is 800, that is 2400. So if 60% is 2400, then 40% is 1600, and we know remaining people are 1, so 1 into 1600 is 1600. Answer will straight away be 1600. Without any difficulty, we will be able to solve this question and get the answer in 10 to 15 seconds itself. So maybe 10 seconds to read and understand the question, and still in 10 seconds we can solve and get the answer. So this lengthy looking question could actually be solved in the real time in the exam scenario in 20 seconds itself. Let's move on to the next question, which is again a question of percentage and quite a tricky one at that. Okay, now fresh cashew nut contains 70% water by weight, whereas desiccated means dry, cashew nut contains 5% water by weight. So, a 120-gram packet of desiccated cashew nut would have weighed how much when the cashews were fresh? Okay, let's see what this question says. Two types of cashew nuts we have: fresh and desiccated. Desiccated or dry. We're talking about water content in fresh and dry. So if one part of that is water, then the remaining part would be called as solid content. Okay. And what is the question telling you? That fresh cashew nut contains 70% water. That means 30% would be solid part. And we also know that desiccated cashews would contain 5% water. So 95% would be solid part. Okay, now that's this part is clear to us. A 120-gram packet of desiccated cashew nut. So if now after drying this is 120 grams, then initially how many grams it would be? How many grams of cashews I should take so that after desiccating it, after drying it, dehydrating it, we get 120 grams of desiccated dry cashew nut. The way of solving this question is to first of all find out how much solid content is there in desiccated cashew nuts. What is 95% of 120? 95% of 120. 10% of 120 is 12, so 90% will be equal to 108. And 10% is 12, so 5% would be 6. That means 95% of 120 is equal to 114. Okay. Now what we should know is that in fresh cashew nuts as well as dry cashew nuts, the solid content will be same. Okay. The percentage is different, but remember that when you take something and you dry it, only the water content reduces, whereas the solid content remains same. Clear? So for example, if you have a glass of water with 10 grams of salt and you keep it outside to dry, so once the water evaporates, remaining salt in the water glass would still be 10 grams only. So the solid content does not decrease because of dehydration. It's only the water content which reduces. So if we have 114 grams of solid content in fresh grapes, in desiccated cashew nuts, then there will be 114 grams of solid content in fresh cashew nuts also. So that means 30% of the total is 114, then 100% will be equal to what? Let's find it out. Now cancel the zeros here. 3 will cancel this how many times? 38 times. 3 into 3, 9, and then 2, 4. Yeah, and then cross multiply x equal to 380. That means fresh cashew nuts will be total of 380 grams. 380 grams is the total weight of fresh cashew nuts. And look at the way we have understood this and solved this question. If you use any other approach for solving this question, you will never get the answer, which is why the answer option indeterminable is also there. You can see that among the answer options, one answer is indeterminable, because unless and until the student understands that the solid content in fresh and desiccated cashew nuts will always be same, there is no way this question can be solved. That's a very nice question from percentage topic. That's question number 5. Let's move on now to question number 6. This is a question based on the concept of average. Let me read out the question to you, and then you can try solving it yourself, and then you can follow with me when I solve the question on the screen here. A student got an average score of 52 in 8 subjects. How many subjects are there? 8. And what is the average score? 52. However, it was later found that the marks in 2 subjects were taken mistakenly as 44 and 48 instead of actual scores of 56 and 60. What is the correct average? So you see, some of these marks were wrong. So what are the wrong values? The wrong values are 44 and 48, and they must be replaced by the right values, the correct values. So what are the correct values? We should replace these wrong values with 56 and 60. So obviously, if you have taken wrong values and you've calculated the average obtained in this manner would be wrong, and our job would be to find out the right average, the correct average. So, but then we will solve it in a different way, in a simpler way. So what we will do is we can say correct average is equal to, in one line we'll solve this question, one line. It's a very typical question, particularly in banking exam, this question of wrong values and right values and finding out the correct average. So correct average is equal to old average. So what is our old average? 52 plus the new values that we are going to add and the old values which we are going to remove, and divide it by the total number of values. How many subjects are there? 8. That's all. If you do this one line of calculation, you can solve this question very easily. So 56 and 44, that's equal to 14, and 48 and 60, 12, 14 and 12, 26 by 8. Okay, so that's again how much? 8 into 3 is 24.2, so 0.25. So the right answer is 55.25. The correct average of the student is 55.25. And once we understand this concept, again it's a 10-second question, real time in the examination. If you solve it, this is how you should do it. Write on the old average plus difference of new values and old values divided by the number of values, total number of values. Okay, now that's question number 6. Let's move on to the next question and see what is there in question number 7. All right, now this is a question of time and work. And again, a very typical question type. And once again, I would want to make you understand that if you have not gone through these topics like time and work, average, speed, time, distance, when we already have in our app all of these topics, the basics of these topics, the conceptual discussion on these topics, the videos are already there in the app, which you can go and watch to learn about these topics from the depth, from the basics. And then when you follow up and watch this video again, you'll be able to make more sense of what we're discussing in the class here. Okay. However, if you are following right from today, you can also I'm explaining all the basic concepts which are required in a particular question along with the question itself. So you can still watch the video and try to, but I would recommend that you go and watch all the basic videos later and learn about all of these topics from the basics. A can do a work alone in 15 days, B can do the same work in 12 days, and C can do it in 20 days. 3 persons are there. A can do a work in 15 days, and just like 15 here, B can do the work in 12 days, and C can do the work in 20 days. All begin working together, but A leaves after 2 days. So whenever we have such a question where some person is leaving, someone is joining, then how do we approach? First, we always find out the rate of work done by A, B, and C respectively. And one method that I use is the representative method. I take the LCM of the numbers that you see on the screen here, 15, 12, and 20. LCM is 60. So 15 into 4 is 60, 12 into 5 is 60, and 20 into 3. This is the units per day for A, B, and C. This is the time, this is the work, and we know time into rate is equal to work. So A can do how many units per day? 4. B can do how many units per day? 5. And C can do how many units per day? 3. So now all begin together. So in the beginning, all are working. So we have A, B, and C, all are working in the beginning. But A leaves after 2 days. That means they have all worked together for 2 days in the beginning. B leaves 4 days before the work is finished. That means for the last 4 days, who is working alone? C is working alone. And in between, for some number of days, B and C, for X days, B and C both are working. So all begin together, but A leaves after 2 days, which means it implies that all of them have worked initially for 2 days. B leaves 4 days before the work is done, so there's someone, A is already left. So who is remaining? C is remaining for the last 4 days. So in between, for X days, B and C both are working. This X is what we mainly have to find out, and after we find out X, we'll be able to find how many days did the total work last. So now we know that combined A, B, and C can do 4 plus 5, 9, 9 plus 3, 12 units of work. So in 2 days, how much they will do? 12 into 2. B and C combined 5 plus 3, 8, and they have worked for X days, so they will do 8X amount of work. And C alone can do 3, so last 4 days C can do 3 into 4, and the total work is 60. So we can say 24 plus 8X plus 12 is equal to 60. 8x is equal to 60 minus 36, that is 24, and x is equal to 3. So in between they have worked for 3 days. So 2 plus 3, 5 plus 4, 9. 2 plus 3, 5, and 5 plus 4, 9. It should be 9 days. Okay, 9 days should be the total. Let's just check once again. 12 into 2 is 24. B plus C, 5 plus 3 is 8. So 8x, that's right. And C alone can do 3 units of work. So 3 into 4 is 12. 24 plus 12 is 36. 60 minus 36 is 24. So that's perfectly right. 8x is equal to 24. X is equal to 3. So 2 plus 3, 5, and 5 plus 4 is 9. So the right answer is 9 days. Don't worry about the answer options. The correct answer is 9 days. Let's look at the next question, which is again from time and work. So again, this is a different type of question based on men, days, rate, and work. What do we call this question as? Men into days into rate is equal to work. Some number of men are working for some number of days, and they're working at certain rate of work, like 6 hours a day or 5 hours a day, and they complete a particular work. 48 men can complete a piece of work in 9 days, while 24 women can complete the same piece of work in 14 days. 36 men start working and are replaced by 20 women after 8 days. In how many days will 28 women finish the remaining work? Now the formula that we use for solving these questions is this. M1 D1 is equal to M2 D2, or M1 D1 by W1. I have not written rate here. You can add rate also, like M1 D1 R1 by W1. In this question, rate is not required, so I'm just using M1 D1 by W1 is equal to M2 D2 by W2. If the work done is same, directly I can say M1 into D1 is equal to M2 into D2. Okay. Now 48 men, so let's say 48 men can do a piece of work in 9 days, while 24 women can complete the same work in 14 days. Now what will this do is it will help us in finding out the ratio of the efficiency of men and women. So like how many men are equivalent to how many women and vice versa. So let's solve this and see what we get here. So M by W is equal to 24 into 14 by 48 into 9. So solve this. You see 24 will cancel 48 2 times, and 2 will cancel 14 7 times. So 7 by 9, or we can say that 9 men equal to 7 women. 9 men are equivalent to 7 women. So 9 men working is same as to say that 7 women are working. Alright, so that's perfect. For 24 we cancel 48 2 times, 2 will cancel 14 7 times, and men by women is 7 by 9, cross multiplying we get 9 men equal to 7 women. Our first part is done. Now 36 men start working and are replaced by 20 women after 8 days. In how many days will 28 women finish the remaining work? I think there's something missing here, because in terms of we see here some data, could be a typo error. 28 women, and here we have 20 women after 8 days. Let's just try to work it out. First of all, what does the question trying to tell us? So we start with 36 men. So best way to understand is that 36 men will be equal to how many women? If I multiply this with 4, 36 men is equal to 28 women. Okay. So 36 men equal to 28 women. The question is this, that they're replaced after 8 days. So for 8 days 28 women are working. 24 women can complete the entire work in 9 days. So 28 women will do how much work in 8 days? That's the question here. Let's call this work as W1. 8 into 3 is 24, and 3 into 9 is 27. So W1, if you write it in terms of, okay, so W1 would be equal to 24 women can complete the work in 14 days. Let's just make a correction here. It's not 9 days, 14 days. Okay, so let's change this also. Okay, all right. So we have 24 women can complete the work in 14 days. So 28 women in 8 days will do how much work? So we can cancel here 28 and 24 3 times, and 14 and 28 2 times. So W1, if you cross multiply, is equal to 2 by 3 work. So 2 by 3 work is done and 1 by 3 work is remaining. In how many days will 28 women finish? 20 women, actually it should be 20 because here also we have 20, finish the remaining work. So let's try and see what answer we get. So 20 women, 24 women can do complete the entire work in 14 days. 20 women will take how many days to complete 2/3 of the work? So let's divide, cancel out W here, and 2 will cancel 20 10 times, and we say X is equal to, and this is 30. So 24 into 14 by 30, 3 into 10, 3 into 8, 14 into 8, 112 by 10. So 11.2 days is what we can say. There's some difference in terms of decimal values, maybe because of the value change in the question, but the approach is this. First you find out the equivalent of men and women, then you've given the case how much work is done, how much work is pending, and then using that pending work we can complete it and find out how much time it will take to complete the remaining work. That's question number 8 of time and work. Let's look at question number 9. This I think we have discussed in the previous session itself, so let's move to, and again I think this also we have seen. So we have discussed this ratio question in the previous session. So, and this also, so again just to give you a quick review in case you have not watched the previous video, this is a ratio question where we use the concept of denomination into number is equal to amount. So we know the ratio of denomination. The ratio of denomination is 1 rupee. 1 rupee is 100 paisa, and 50 paisa, and we have 25 paisa. So ratio is 4 is to 2 is to 1. So 25 into 1 is 25, 25 to the 50, and 25 4 is 100. So that's 4 is to 2 is to 1. Let's call this like this, write on vertically, 4 to 1. And the ratio of amount is 16, 15, 5. 16, let's try with 14 here because it's not going to be divisible by 2, and 5. So 4 into 4 is 16, 2 into 7 is 14, and 1 into 5, so 11 plus 5 16. Okay, and make this correction also. Let's say the total number of coins is 80. Okay, so the total number of coins being 80, the total values we get here 4 plus 7 plus 5, 12 plus 4 16. If the total coins is 80, then the number of 25 paisa coins would be 5 into 5 25. So in the previous class also I discussed, and I told you that this value is not correct, because of which we are getting a decimal value, but the correct answer is 25. And in the previous session also I shown you how we approximately also got up to 25. So two things I have changed here in this question. One is that this ratio is not 16 15 5. I am taking the ratio of amount as 16 14 5, and I am taking the total number of coins as 80 because I want to get integer answers. The main point that I want to explain through this question is how to multiply ratios. So if you know denomination into number of coins is equal to amount, and I know the ratio of denomination is 4 is to 2 is to 1 because we have 1 rupee coins, 50 paisa coins, and 25 paisa coins. And if we already know the ratio of amount, I can find out the ratio of number of coins. Number of coins we get 475, that's total 16, but we know the total number of coins is 80, so we see 16 to 5 is 80. And once we get this factor of multiplication, multiply this 5 with 5 to get 25 coins of 25 paisa. So that's it. And this question also is based on a similar concept. Okay, this also I think we have discussed this part. Okay, so students, this was the some of the important questions that were there for arithmetic part for you, that are very important to see the level of difficulty, the kind of questions you expect in exams nowadays. and what are the tricks and techniques you require to solve such questions. So every week we'll be bringing for you some videos to help you prepare for the upcoming exams and to expose you to some of the best questions that come in different competitive examinations, whether it be banking examination, aptitude examination, civil services aptitude test paper 2, or FCAT paper. Any examination that is based on aptitude, we'll be giving you the best possible training for that through our classes. Previously also we have recorded a number of videos which are available on our HashLearn app in both English as well as Hindi language. So those of our viewers who understand only Hindi or who want access to Hindi videos must purchase the passport access of HashLearn. देर आर नंबर ऑफ काफ़ी सारे हिंदी में वीडियोस हमने आपके लिए बनाए हैं. हर टॉपिक के लिए हिंदी के वीडियोस जो है उपलब्ध हैं हैशलर्न के ऐप में. अगर आप उन वीडियोस को भी एक्सेस करना चाहते हो, आप ऐप डाउनलोड करके उनको एक्सेस कर सकते हो. So students, there are hundreds and hundreds of videos in the app, and if you want to have full access to all those videos and you also want to take up the online test, and there are plenty of other benefits that you get when you purchase the passport access of the HashLearn app. So I would personally recommend that you do that at a very reasonable price. You can go into the app and check what are the price options for the passport access. So students, I'll meet you next week on the 9th of October. On the 8th we are closed. So schedule wise we have 9th of October this time. I'll be doing the class for you in the morning at 10 o'clock. I'll be bringing again some of the best videos for you to help you prepare for competitive exam. Till then, keep preparing for your examination, and thank you for joining with us.